justice and transforming lives. May God bless Jamaica.
Well done, sir. Well done. You're a good president. You're a good president. And you like the passport part, don't you?
Madam Speaker, excellent presentation by Minister Chuck. I now ask, Madam Speaker, for you to invite the Honorable Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, to make his presentation. Thank you.
We now invite to his feet to make his presentation in the sectoral debate. Minister of Agriculture, Mining and Fisheries, and the Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth, Southwest. I'm correct. Minister Green.
But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Isaiah 40, verse 31. Madam Speaker, I'm acutely aware that I'm able to stand here in this moment because of the enduring mercy of God and the countless blessings He continues to bestow upon me. I'm also grateful for the many persons I come across who have indicated that they have whispered a prayer on my behalf. I am truly humbled and honored to be able to address you once again as the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, and of course, mining. Madam Speaker, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, continues to show inspiring and visionary leadership.
Minister Green, Minister Green, Minister Green, you may not have light.
It is.
But you have electricity.
Okay.
And you're not on the clock.
Madam Speaker, it is not an easy road, but He continues to restore hope in our island nation. And I'm grateful that He has given me the opportunity to steward these critical areas. To my cabinet colleagues and fellow parliamentarians, thanks for the encouragement and support as we work together to harvest hope, mine possibilities, and create a better future for all. It is my family who keeps me grounded, and I'm grateful to my wife, Carida, and my son, Nathaniel Marcus. It is they who bear the brunt of this life of service, but they provide peace and joy in what can be a difficult journey. My son, Madam Speaker, has formed his own political party among his friends and is advocating for a 4-day work week and a ban on homework. For the first time, he joins me in the gallery today. Madam Speaker, I'm privileged to work in tandem with State Minister, the Honorable Franklin Whittle. He is a steady, calm, experienced, and reassuring force. He has marshaled his assigned areas with great skill and is a tremendous asset. Additionally, our astute and talented, hard-working permanent secretary, Mr. Dermot Spence, continues to provide strategic leadership to a team of competent senior managers and committed staff at the ministry and across all our agencies. Madam Speaker, it is often the dedicated individuals working behind the scenes who make this possible. I wouldn't have been able to stand here without the work of my communication specialist, Kenisha Campbell, Executive Assistant Malika Morgan, Secretary Joan Clark, Office Manager Kenroy James, and the entire office team, Close Protection Officer Roxroy Montague, and Rasta, my driver.
For those seated in the
Madam
gallery,
Speaker, in the world of agriculture, fisheries,
Minister,
and mining, international
Minister,
partnerships are critical.
Minister, hold a moment. You'll have your time back. For those seated in the gallery, you're not permitted to clap or bang the desk. The only down here in the chamber, we're allowed to beat the desk. So please, no clapping. Thank you very much. I know you're excited, but that's the rule of the parliament. Minister, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, your guidance and stewardship of the House has been strong, even-handed, and rule-based. I applaud your conviction, and I support your direction. I am here today because of the great people of Southwest St. Elizabeth. Every day I'm focused on improving their lives and our communities. And I'm grateful for the trust and confidence my constituents have placed in me to continue to represent them in this honorable House. Members of my management team have joined me today, and I want to congratulate new councillor for the Pedro Place Division, Dr. Carl White, former MP and Mayor, Councillor Derek Sangster, and former MP and Mayor, now retired, former Councillor Jeremy Palmer. Finally, Madam Speaker, to the backbone of our sectors and the reason I'm able to deliver this presentation today, our miners, farmers, and fishers, a massive thank you. We work on your behalf to accomplish your goals to ensure that you can pursue these areas that you're passionate about. Madam Speaker, members of this honorable House, those listening on radio and watching us on traditional or social media, allow me to share with you the journey of transformation that we are on across agriculture, fisheries, and mining. A journey to restore hope in these sectors, hope which is not based on talk, but is based on action. Hope that will allow us to transform our rural communities, to transform Jamaica, to harvest hope, mine possibilities, and create a better future for all. Madam Speaker, we do have a video insert, but I know we've been having some technical challenges. So I will just wait to see if it comes up. Madam Speaker, we will press on. Madam Speaker, we thought it's important to start with the video because oftentimes we speak in the House and we divorce ourselves from the people who are here to represent. Madam Speaker, our journey on this side is truly to harvest hope, to mine possibilities, and to create a better future create a better future for everybody. Madam Speaker, to create a robust and effective agricultural sector and a nation that can feed itself, we must prioritize research and development. There was a time, Madam Speaker, that Jamaica was considered the heart of tropical agricultural research, that the name T.P. Lecky was spoken in the four corners of this earth, that Bodles was considered the premier agricultural institution in the Caribbean. We have, however, allowed our research capacity to fall into disrepair. This is what we inherited, Madam Speaker. However, we are changing that reality. Over the last 5 years, this administration has invested $1.5 billion in Bodles as a part of our research center rehabilitation program. We've rehabilitated laboratories, installed modular office spaces, completed a new milk testing laboratory, built a small ruminant house, installed new greenhouses for citrus and hot pepper, rehabilitated the well, installed new storage capacity, new distribution systems, designed 9 new livestock buildings. Madam Speaker, this is not work to come. This is work that has already been done. I am pleased, therefore, to start this presentation by announcing that this Andrew Holness-led government has committed to spend $6.4 billion over the next 6 years. That's $1 billion per year to continue the rehabilitation of Bodles and the transformation of our research stations in Mount Pelion, Orange River, Top Mountain, and Hounslow. In fact, we're starting construction of a $443 million state-of-the-art piggery at Bodles this month. This will provide Bodles with the capacity to further drive our pork industry as we expand into regional markets. Additionally, we'll be upgrading the irrigation infrastructure at Bodles to the tune of $130 million, procuring critical pieces of farm machinery to the tune of $20 million, and moving to design a state-of-the-art small ruminant house at the Hounslow demonstration station at a cost of $6 million. Through research and development members, we will harvest hope and create a better future. Madam Speaker, for years, agricultural research never made it to these speeches. But we will be foolhardy if we believe that we can grow our agricultural sector in a changing climate without adequate research. That is why we're going a step further. We are allocated an initial sum of $10 million to incentivize agricultural research across our tertiary institutions. Madam Speaker, we already had some discussions with the UWI and we'll be signing an MOU shortly. The idea is that students and lecturers who are doing advanced research in areas that align with the ministry will be able to garner financial support to undertake their research work. I want to thank the Youth Advocate Council who suggested this as a part of the sectoral presentation. Members, as part of our Bodles redevelopment and in keeping with the drive for food security, we're establishing a sustainable seed system that ensures a consistent, reliable supply of clean, affordable, and accessible seeds in support of agricultural production. More than a seed bank, we're establishing a seed technology center, which will not only be a repository of our local gene and germplasm pool, but will also be a cutting-edge seed processing facility aimed at optimizing swift extraction, treatment, and the drying of seeds for use by our farmers. Already, members, we've secured a state-of-the-art, high-volume commercial seed dryer through CARDI and the UWI, and that will significantly enhance our capacity. Additionally, this year, we're securing a seed sterilizer by our plant quarantine inspection branch. What this means, members, is that when farmers import their seeds, we will now have the ability to sterilize those seeds to reduce or eliminate any introduction of seed-borne pests at our airports. Farmers, I have also heard your concerns about the quality of seeds. So this year, we'll be starting the process of establishing a seed and nursery certification unit, which will stand as a driver for regulating the seed and nursery sector, seeking to ensure that the seeds provided in the market meet the requisite standards for production and productivity. I want to thank the FAO who is helping us in that regard as we look to promulgate the necessary seed regulations to guide the industry. Madam Speaker and members, you may already know that about 95% of the food we produce is produced directly with our soils. As Towie_96 raised in the comments on my TikTok live last Wednesday, healthy soil is critical for our agri-food system, and farmers must be able to take a data-driven approach to what they plant, where they plant, and the nutrition regime that they utilize. To this end, we continue to implement the soil fertility mapping project in Essex Valley and work with UWI St. Augustine to develop fieldwork protocols for sustainable soil management. We are moving, Madam Speaker, to establish a comprehensive national soil database, and as such, our national soil sample collection is progressing. However, we have to take this work out of the ministry and to our farmers. And as such, Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to announce that the ministry will be providing 100 farming groups across Jamaica with soil testing kits and training them in the utilization to ensure that before those farmers plant, they're taking a data-driven approach to farming. We're going to spend $9.6 billion on that, Madam Speaker, but we're not stopping there. We're also going to be providing some soil testing kits for extension services. So when they go out to engage with the farmers, they can do the tests on their behalf. We have to take soil health seriously, members. That is why we're partnering with the Jamaica Organic Agricultural Movement. Under this $35 million project, we are looking at training 300 persons in 14 parishes in soil and water management techniques over the next 2 years. That is to treat with the depletion of our soil because of inadequate agricultural practices, limited knowledge of soil microbiology, and the negative impacts of climate change. We're also going to upgrade our laboratory services, and we're going to be spending $5.5 million to get new equipment to treat with soil diagnostics and soil testing capacities. Additionally, Madam Speaker, we're embarking on a project to collect organic waste and convert it to compost. A healthy soil is fundamental as we seek to harvest hope. Madam Speaker, there's no doubt 2023 was a difficult year for our farmers. It was the hottest and driest year ever recorded in our country. Consequently, the interventions of the ministry during the year were focused on mitigating losses, increasing resilience, and ensuring the country's food security. Members, the ministry, through our National Production and Productivity Program, provided over $1.3 billion to support the growth of the sector during the year. This is why, Madam Speaker, despite the heat, despite the drought, despite the rainfall, we recorded the second highest level of domestic production ever in the history of our country. The value of our production grew by 32%. Members, we should applaud the resilience of our farmers. Madam Speaker, I'll be honest, I hear a lot of rhetoric from the other side about support for our farmers. But may I remind members that the records are there for us to examine. Between 2012 and 2016, the allocation to the Production Incentive Program to provide assistance for small farmers cumulatively was $350 million. Madam Speaker, $350 million. Madam Speaker, This year alone, we are providing $1.3 billion for our farmers. In fact, Madam Speaker, in the last 3 years, we provided over $3 billion to help drive production, to help our small farmers. It is not by chance that we achieved our highest production levels ever in 2021, and then we passed that in 2022. And despite the drought, we're at our second highest level in 2023. This is a government that supports its small farmers. Madam Speaker, our production incentive program does a number of things. We provide a variety of crops, including yams, hot pepper, cocoa, red peas. We provide livestock. In fact, members, we provided 8,000 acres of crops that were distributed last year. Direct support to 25,000 farmers and generating work for over 82,000 skilled and unskilled laborers. In fact, we provided $85 million to our livestock farmers, which helped 4,700 farmers. Madam Speaker, the amount of farmers the other side were able to touch in their entire 4-year term, we have touched in 1 year. We are harvesting hope and creating a better future for all. Madam Speaker, let me tell you about one of the programs. Our onion program, Madam Speaker. I want to show you what has happened over the last 8 years with our onion program. Firstly, you might not know, but the demand, the consumption for onions has moved from 8,000 metric tons in 2017 to 13,000 metric tons in 2023. So the demand has increased. In 2017, members, we produced about 8% of our consumption needs. And we had earmarked that we would reach 40% by 2023. Members, we have surpassed our goal of 40%. And we are now at 44% of our consumptive needs. But let me explain something, Madam Speaker. If the consumption was the same as it was in 2017, we would have been at 71% of our consumptive needs. Between 2017 and 2023, our local onion production grew by 644%. We moved from producing 800 metric tons to now producing 6,000 metric tons of onion locally. And they like to talk about import. We should tell them onion imports for this year is down 11.9%. And we're not stopping there, Madam Speaker. We're going to support our local farming group some more. We've earmarked $60 million to help local onion farmers to put in the technology for drying houses so that they can extend the shelf life of their crops. We could also speak about Irish potato, Madam Speaker, as one of our priority crops that has had tremendous difficulty over the last 2 years because they do not farm in areas where they have access to water. But we're fixing that, Madam Speaker. In fact, this year we've constructed an over $5 million water catchment system in Hindstown to ensure that the farmers in that area are able to do better next year. Madam Speaker, I want to speak about livestock. And we can't be food and nutritional secure unless we have a strong livestock sector. We've seen a significant increase in our small ruminant sector. In fact, we've had to be expanding our barns at our agricultural shows because we've seen an influx of sheep, goats, and importantly, young small ruminant farmers like Chantal Dillon that you saw in the video, or Kashif Brown, the Eco Farm of the Year from Westmoreland. Members, this is not happening by chance. This is not happening by buck-up. This is happening because of the steps that we have taken. In August 2021, we launched a small ruminant development program. Its implementation has resulted in the importation of over 1,000 goats across the public and private sector. In fact, this year, Madam Speaker, the government imported 197 small ruminants, which is the largest importation since the 1990s. Madam Speaker, a lot of us are familiar with Boer, we're familiar with Nubian, but we're bringing in new breeds. Seine, Kiko, Alpine, La Mancha, breeds that are not only good for meat, but are good for dairy, goat milk production. But I'm going to tell you how policy can drive industry, Madam Speaker. We looked at the situation. Nobody was importing goods. And we said, let us remove the duty. Things like the GCT. And I want to commend the Minister of Finance. And last year, private individuals saved over $13 million through importing goats into our country. So people like Owen Bartley, our national farmer of Unity Boer Farm, he has partnered to bring in some of the world's top quality animals. People like Damian Crawford brought in 100 goats under this program. You know, the good thing about policy, good policy helps JLP, it helps PMP, it helps NOP. So, Madam Speaker, we are going to be doing more. We're improving our forage production at Bodles, and we've established 100 acres. We have also constructed a 500-head small ruminant house at Bodles. And this year, Madam Speaker, we're going to expand our small ruminant semen bank and our animal fertility laboratory to collect and store genetic material. Madam Speaker, importantly, we are developing a herd registry and animal management system to allow farmers to register purebred small ruminants and to have greater access to animal records. Madam Speaker, we're partnering with Jamaica Broilers and Caribbean Broilers to train our people in artificial insemination. Additionally, we're installing and commissioning a newly acquired feed pelletizer to produce feed using local raw material. And we will continue our artificial insemination program where we distribute semen to clusters of farmers free of cost. Madam Speaker, we have had a rich history of cattle farming. Significant work has been done by the Dairy Development Board, Agro-Invest Corporation, and Bodles to restore some of our former glory in cattle production. Madam Speaker, Minard Farms is being restored as a center of excellence, housing our gene pool repository of Jamaica Black, Jamaica Braham, and Jamaica Red Poll cattle. Madam Speaker, we have seen a significant turnaround at the Minard Estates, with their first set of calves under the artificial insemination program performing exceptionally well, and with the herds being managed in such a way that we've returned to cattle auctions. As I mentioned, Minard Estates, members, I would like to share with this House that under your government, we are now regularizing the farm hands at Minard. We are taking them from contract work and making them full-time pensionable employees of the government of Jamaica under their new title, facilities custodians. Madam Speaker, for years we allowed our Jamaica Hope line to deteriorate. We're not going to stand by and allow that to happen any longer. January of this year, we embarked on the Jamaica Hope Rehabilitation Program, which is intended to restore the herd's functional capacity by implementing a genetic evaluation system, increasing the frequency of desirable genes in animals, improving milk yield, fertility, and environmental adaptability. As I speak about the Jamaica Hope, I have to speak about dairy. Milk has traditionally formed a part of our healthy diet, being an excellent source of vitamins and minerals, great for bone health. Poor government policy in the 1990s decimated our milk sector. We are bringing it back. Last year, we produced 10.6 million liters of milk. We want to reach 30 million liters of milk by 2030. To achieve this, we're building from the ground up. We're partnering with our educational institutions and have already provided support over the last 3 years, spending some $73 million to Case, Ebony Park, NCU, Nakalva, and Monique, all towards development of their dairy programs. At the secondary level, we're partnering with Sidney Pagan STEM Academy, Dintil Technical High School, Monroe College, Newell High, and we will rehabilitate or construct milking parlors and provide them with the modern equipment and animals needed to ensure efficiency. This year, Madam Speaker, we plan to spend $56 million on helping our educational institutions have a dairy sector. But Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to announce that we are going further this year. We'll be embarking on what I call the Dairy Livestock Innovation and Nutrition Program, DLINK. Under the DLINK program, we're introducing solar-powered cooling systems, which will significantly reduce the cost of production for small dairy farmers. Madam Speaker, we're going to be purchasing and distributing 15 new mobile milkers across our dairy farming clusters and schools. We will install 7 energy-efficient milk cooling tanks. We will build our gene pool by importing and distributing live cattle, embryos, and semen. Importantly, members, under the LINK program, we're establishing a technology center and an equipment lease program, where through the Dairy Development Board, we will allow our small farmers to lease at concessionary rates milking machines, silo packers, silo press, harvesters, shave cutters, hail balers. All of this will be provided to our small farmers on lease under this new initiative. This is how you harvest hope. This is how you cultivate a better future. Madam Speaker, when the Dairy Development Board was established, the concept of what was milk was fairly straightforward. As such, the liter resurgence of our local milk industry, a cess was levied on cow's milk. Since that time, a number of products using the term milk compete with dairy milk, but don't have the same cess regime. Additionally, all of these items are imported. Cabinet has approved the expansion of the definition of milk to incorporate milk from other animals, such as goats. However, we're currently consulting with the sector to explore whether there needs to be a further expansion of the definition of milk towards an inclusion of all products that claim to be milk to ensure that the playing field is level. Madam Speaker, our poultry industry continues to perform exceptionally well. We continue to support a policy direction that puts Jamaica first and supports our local farmers. That policy direction is better than that would seek to give advantage to farmers in other countries. Poultry meat has continued expansion, moving by 25% from 2014 to the 138 kilograms we now produce in 2023. Of that, Madam Speaker, 40% is contributed by our small farmers. We have also seen an expansion in the chicken feet production. And as such, we have reduced our importation of chicken feet by 47%, as we are now able to satisfy that market locally. We're not stopping there. Madam Speaker, as we look to drive food security and to ensure that more of our citizens in our urban centers have access to affordable food, I hereby announce the launch of our Urban Harvest Program. This program will see the provision of livestock such as chicken, small ruminants, even ornamental fish across our urban spaces and our inner city communities. We will also be distributing 3,000 backyard gardening kits and putting in an incentive regime to encourage hydroponic farming. Each initiative, Madam Speaker, will have a set criteria and will incorporate the participation of political representatives, NGOs, church groups, as we look forward to entice the involvement of our urban population in our agricultural enterprise. Madam Speaker, we can't speak about livestock and not speak about Prairie du Larceny. We continue to work with the Jamaica Constabulary Force to strengthen the capacity of our police personnel to enhance the effectiveness of our Prairie du Larceny prevention efforts. In this regard, Madam Speaker, up to February of this year, 7 training sessions were conducted with the JCF across 19 geographic police locations, training 148 personnel. Up to the end of May, the JCF has made 51 arrests for Prairie du Larceny. They have launched 53 farm watch groups. They have undertaken 2,343 inspections of abattoirs and slaughterhouses. Madam Speaker, I really want to commend the Manchester Police. They have arrested 13 people for Prairie du Larceny since the start of the year. But Madam Speaker, let me explain a problem that we've been facing. We've been having a problem in the prosecution of agricultural crime in adjudicated loss and damage, having people with the necessary expertise to do that adjudication. But Madam Speaker, when we see a problem, we don't turn a blind eye. We move to solve them. As such members, I'm pleased to announce that we have collaborated with the Hard Trust NSTA to develop the first of a kind certification program for agricultural produce valuators in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, we now have 2 new NVQJ Level 3 NCT Vet certified agricultural valuation courses and are now available at all HEART accredited training institutions. Additionally, Madam Speaker, the Ministry and RAD are finalizing the first cohort of 25 persons who will be trained as agricultural valuators. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister has mandated that this must be a government of action. Last year, we passed through Parliament amendments to the Agricultural Produce Act, which became effective December 28, 2023. Madam Speaker, these amendments have been in gestation for almost 3 decades. They taught, Madam Speaker, we act. We are going through our sensitization stage now and preparing the necessary regulations to be tabled this financial year as we embark on implementation. This financial year, we will bring amendments to the Prairie du Larceny Prevention Act that will seek to significantly increase all the fines and to address related issues. Additionally, Madam Speaker, with the support of the DBJ, we're embarking on a study to determine the value, cost, and impacts of Prairie du Larceny on the agricultural sector. Madam Speaker, when we went around the country and had 13 engagement sessions, a number of people were saying we need more boots on the ground. In our continued partnership with the security forces and the Ministry of National Security, we're pleased to announce that the implementation of the Agricultural Wardens Program will begin before the end of this financial year. It is expected, Madam Speaker, that by December 2023, the first cohort of 100 agricultural wardens will be trained and deployed across police divisions, concentrated firstly in 8 parishes where we have high incidence of Prairie du Larceny. Madam Speaker, I must thank the Ministry of National Security and the Jamaica Constabulary Force. They have been working with us on this initiative. And the program, the plan is to outlay 300 agricultural wardens over the next 3 years, with a budgetary support of $3.4 billion. Madam Speaker, we are working with the farmers to ensure they can reap what they have sown. It is well understood, Madam Speaker, that sometimes up to 50% agricultural production is lost due to poor pre- and poor post-harvest handling. As such, Madam Speaker, this year and over the next 3 years, the government is going to undertake the largest ever investment in agricultural storage. Through the 35 million FAO project, we've already retrofitted two 40-foot reefer containers, which have been placed at the Trelawney Rada office and the St. Mary multipurpose facility. This year, we are going to refurbish and retrofit the Coleyville cold storage facility in Christiana at a cost of $87 million to provide cold storage capacity for our farmers. Additionally, we're working with JCIF and the World Bank, and we will establish a new cold storage facility at Windalco Kirkville, 3,700 square feet of storage. We're also going to be building 3 new storage facilities through the Jamaica Bauxite Institute. We're going to be building cold storage in Water Valley, in St. Anne, and Moko in Clarendon. Under the CARICOM New Zealand project, we will be installing 2 20-foot solar-powered refrigerated containers at the Hounslow in Southwest St. Elizabeth to help those farmers with storage. We also will be executing a $150 million Moroccan storage program to build out an additional 6,000 square foot of space. Madam Speaker, we are acting on the old age problems to ensure that we can harvest hope and create a better future. Madam Speaker, the National Farm Road Program is critical. Last year, we did 70 farm roads at $790 million, benefiting over 4,000 farmers and touching over 500 hectares of agricultural production. This year, we've earmarked 60 farm roads and benefited at least 3,000 farmers. Communities like Bull Bay, Maho Hill, Guys Hill, Bonnet in Guys Hill, Clara Town, Banton Town, all of these communities will be helped. But colleagues, by way of policy, I have directed that 10% of the farm road budget be put towards maintenance of our farm roads. It makes no sense we do them and lose them. So as we move into new areas, we have to maintain what we have. Additionally, for our coffee farmers, Madam Speaker, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, I've asked JACRA, RADA, and NAA to design a coffee road rehabilitation program and to bring it through the PIAB process in an attempt to seek about $5 billion to treat with the road network in that Blue Mountain coffee farm range. Madam Speaker, let me speak about agribusiness development. And our agri-parks continue to do well. But in 2021, we established our first mango agri-park, and we've invested about $104 million in that agri-park. To date, we have irrigation cover for 365 acres. 120 acres is already under production, and a further 80 acres is being put into production as we speak. I really want to commend our 13 investors in the Mango Agri-Park for the work that they're doing. Part of our job has been to expand the land mass of the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that we have more agri-parks and agro-economic zones. In fact, members, between 2021 and now, we have increased our land bank by 65%, adding 4,700 acres to our agri-parks, our agri-productive zones. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to announce today that applications are now open for land in the following new agri-parks: Amity Hall in St. Catherine, Bridgepen in St. Catherine, Parnassus in Clarendon. Madam Speaker, we're bringing an additional 400 hectares or 1,000 acres of arable land, which will have storage capacity and a distribution center. We're inviting investors to come and take advantage of these tremendous opportunities. In fact, interested parties can contact the AgriInvest Corporation. All of these agri-parks will be open in 2025. The good news, Madam Speaker, not only are we announcing the agri-parks, but we have a microfinancing scheme that will go with these new agri-parks. We have $100 million, Madam Speaker, and we'll be providing a matching grant program up to $1.2 million per person for people who invest in the agri-park and qualify for this matching grant scheme. Yeah. Madam Speaker, we are looking to drive investment. And as such, this year, the AgriInvest Corporation, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, with the support from JAMPRO, will stage the inaugural Agri-Investment Forum. This forum will be in the last quarter of 2024, and we see this as a pivotal platform to showcase and explore lucrative investment opportunities within the agricultural sector, presenting viable investment-ready agribusiness opportunities to attract both local and foreign direct investment. Just as the Minister of Tourism is often out hunting for investment for agriculture, we are on the road hunting for significant investment in our agricultural sector. And one of the investments that I'm pleased to speak about, that I know Member Charles Jr. will be happy, is that we are already far in discussions for a major investment in the Clarendon Belt that will replace the operations at the former Monimus Sugar Factory. A team from Tropical Sugar Company Limited visited and toured Monimus lands this month. They met with a team from the ministry. They have met and are far advanced in discussions with Pan Caribbean, the owners of the Monimus factory, and their plan is to purchase that asset. In fact, they've advised, Madam Speaker, that they've earmarked an initial investment of 39.5 million United States dollars with an additional 22 million United States dollars to be spent over the first 2 years of operation. This would be a game-changing investment for Clarendon. Madam Speaker, we continue to work with the private sector through the Agribusiness Council. I really want to thank the PSOJ and our co-chair, Matthew Lynn, as we look to bring the private sector, the opposition, and our youth to formulate a 20-year agricultural development plan. A lot of talk has been out there in relation to the AMC complex on Spanish Town Road. This government has no intention to lose control of this certain important facility. But, Madam Speaker, certainly, compared to the past administration handling, we intend to make it work more effectively and efficiently. That is why we have called for a public-private partnership investment model, which is intended to attract private capital to revitalize and better utilize our AMC. We put in place an enterprise team. They have finished their work, submitted the recommendations, and we're now planning to go to cabinet with it. Madam Speaker, the truth is, the most important thing now for our farmers is access to water, especially as the climate changes. Only 12% of our arable land is irrigated, but we are moving to fix that. And over the last 8 years, this government has spent the most of any government in investing in irrigation infrastructure. So just a quick, Madam Speaker, the Pedro Plains irrigation scheme that has started, we're spending $187 million with the NWA, the NLA, to do the cadastral surveys as we speak. A water demand census is underway by Spatial Innovision as we speak, and we're hosting meetings to get the demands from the residents across the Pedro Plains area. This project, which we plan to break ground for this financial year to start the civil work, will take.
The minister's time for speaking has expired. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the minister, at your discretion, be given additional time. to complete his presentation.
And Minister, it would have been beautiful if I could follow the presentation. The question is that the minister be allowed 25 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, thank you. 600 acres under irrigation cover. Madam Speaker, in Essex Valley, we've laid all the pipes, we've drilled all the wells, we've finished the rehabilitation of the majority of 27 kilometers of farm road has been done under the Essex Valley project. All we're waiting now is the completion of the procurement for the pumps. In SPAD, we finished all of that and the pumps are en route. Madam Speaker, let me thank the United Kingdom government for the grant that they provided, which is helping us in this regard. There are other projects on the horizon. Hindstown, Yallas, Lucky Hill Pen, Lennox Lower Leighton in Portland. All of this, Madam Speaker, we plan to spend over the next few years $730 million to bring irrigation to 4,000 hectares to help over 4,000 farmers and to increase our production levels by 50%. Madam Speaker, we continue to focus on drought mitigation. And last year we spent over $175 million in relation to the drought. This year we are continuing that work. We plan to continue to establish retention ponds in highly productive zones to ensure that when the rain does come, we're making the most of it. Additionally, Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to announce today that we will be starting a new black tank irrigation program where we will be distributing 2,500 irrigation kits over the next year. What we have found, Madam Speaker, is that our farmers who have the storage capacity and the drip hoses, they do better. They're better able to withstand the drought. And clearly, we will be using a mixed modality to distribute these tanks and irrigation kits, including elected representatives, RADA, JACRA, and various farmer-based organizations. Madam Speaker, I wanted to tell you about our public gardens, but I will skip that. Suffice to say, there are big plans for our Bath Botanical Gardens. $18 million is going to be spent through the TPDCO and JSIF, along with the Ministry of Agriculture, to really renovate the Bath Botanical Gardens. Madam Speaker, I cannot skip Holland Bamboo, iconic destination. Last year, we planted 5,050 bamboo in that scenic avenue. The drought has been difficult, but we've spoken to the permanent secretary, and we will be looking to treat with an irrigation system for that Holland Bamboo. And we know the Member of Parliament, along with the Minister of Finance, along with the Prime Minister, under the Spark program, will treat with the road to make the Holland Bamboo experience even better. Finally, Madam Speaker, on the public gardens, we are going to establish a new public garden. Madam Speaker, our vision, we need a public garden in each parish. We need a public botanical garden in each parish. We can partner and call it a wellness garden. We are going to start by establishing one in Montpelier in South St. James, Homer Davis. We're going to establish a new botanical gardens in land that we have in Montpelier. Madam Speaker, I could boast about our expansion in export, but I'm going to go quickly. Suffice to say that we raised more money, we earned more money this year than last year from our agricultural exports. Some of you may not know, but the value, the earnings from the exportation of yam moved from 37 million United States dollars in 2022 to yam earning 50.4 million United States dollars through exportation in 2023. While yellow yam is still the major contributor, we're seeing increases in demand for Lucy, Negro, sweet yam, and other areas. Madam Speaker, the other area that we've seen significant growth in export is in our sauces. In the first 9 months of 2023, we saw a 20% increase in earnings from sauces exports, moving from US $27 million to US $33 million in earnings. This augur well for our spices sector, especially as we seek to secure the agricultural value chain. More of our agri-processors are looking to expand their agricultural output. Madam Speaker, while the brands are too many to call, allow me to recognize the work of Picker Pepper, Walker's Wood, Spur Tree Spices, Scotch Boys, and of course, Grace Kennedy. Madam Speaker, we have a program for our spices sector. And we want to thank the United States Department of Agriculture, who are helping us with a US $22 million program to revitalize our spices sector over the next 5 years. This year, Madam Speaker, we will set up 6 new ginger nurseries. We will do 21 acres of ginger infield planting. We will engage the public and private sector nurseries to produce 100,000 pimento seedlings. Madam Speaker, we're bringing back ginger in a real way, turmeric in a real way, pimento in a real way. Madam Speaker, I won't go through all the traditional crops, and the full presentation is there, but I do want to get to fisheries and mining. But just to say for our coffee farmers, that we're going to start this year a $3.5 billion revitalization and expansion program. We're going to focus on farmer and agro-processors capacity. We're going to focus on planting material production. We're going to focus on infrastructure support. And we're going to focus on providing direct input support to over 15,000 farmers and their families. Importantly, Madam Speaker, we know that we have the best coffee in the world. But when it is on the international market, you have to be able to distinguish it. We are going to be implementing this year blockchain technology to provide digital traceability from our coffee farms to our finished Blue Mountain coffee product. What it means in a nutshell is that somebody will be able to pick up a bag of Blue Mountain coffee in Japan, scan the QR code, and know the farmer and the farm that it came from in the hills of East Rural St. Andrews. Madam Speaker, we saw an increase in cocoa production. But the area I want to focus on in relation to cocoa is what we're seeing happening on the local market. Local sales figure for our cocoa last year increased by 76%. What it means is that our local chocolatiers are the ones that are buying our cocoa and adding value to our cocoa. We have the best cocoa in the world. One of the few fine flavor designated cocoas. And some people say, do we have the best cocoa in the world? Well, let me tell you. One of our Jamaican chocolatiers, Pure Chocolate, was selected among the top 50 in the 2023 edition of the Cocoa Excellence Award. When they went to the award in February of this year, Pure Chocolate won gold. This is a new paradigm for our cocoa industry. Madam Speaker, we're doing a lot of work around coconut, significant work. And I want to commend Dr. Wayne Myrie and the team who have reduced the spread of lethal yellowing by 70%. That is what was holding back our coconut sector. We've worked with CARDI, ITC, Coconut Industry Board, Scientific Research Council, Alligator Head Foundation, RADA, NACALVA, and we formed what we call Alliances for Action in Coconut. And we've done significant distribution over the past year. This year, we're going to be working with 10 agro-processors to support the development of agribusiness solutions and continue research on climate-resistant varieties. Additionally, Madam Speaker, the private sector is stepping up and answering the call in coconut. And I'm happy to indicate that the SCG has advised me that they're entering into a lease for 220 acres of former sugar land to be put into coconut production. Madam Speaker, bananas are still doing well, and we're coming back in relation to bananas. And where we've seen significant increase is in our planting sector. And we've launched a planting pilot project where we provided $20 million to establish 20 hectares of planting, and that is going well, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, let me speak about some of the challenges that we face. One of the main barriers for entry and expansion into agriculture is the cost of input supplies. From seeds to fertilizer to chemicals to irrigation equipment, farmers have been complaining about the prices. What we appreciate and we notice is that when the world prices go up, there is an increase on our local market. But when the prices go down, we have not seen the same levels of decrease. Madam Speaker, we've started to reach out to our input suppliers because this is critical to drive agriculture. And I want us to commend Newport Fersan, who has reduced their fertilizer prices by up to 13% on all granular fertilizer. And I want to urge the retailers to pass on the savings. Madam Speaker, as we drive climate resilience, the team and I met with Isratech. And I'm pleased to announce that Isratech will be making the following reductions. 10% discount on all drip hoses and products manufactured under the Jamaica Drip Division. An additional 5% on all drip irrigation related accessories. Additionally, if you operate in our agri parks, you are going to get a 25% discount on the irrigation equipment supplied by Isratech. There's another thing that Isratech agreed to. They agreed that they will provide free technical irrigation designs for any farmer that is utilizing their irrigation. And I know Benji is here from Isratech. Madam Speaker, labor is still a fundamental challenge to our agricultural sector. And the shortage of labor is now approaching chronic proportions. This year, we plan to expand our RADA equipment support to farmers. Already, we've put into operation 6 tractors, bringing the fleet to 15 tractors and 14 backhoes. This year, we plan to supply 2 additional tractors at a cost of $30 million. We are also going to embark on a new tractor lease and land preparation program to provide greater access to privately owned tractors across the country. We're even going further than that, members. We will be supporting the procurement of walk-behind tractors and other easily operated machines to help small farmers on difficult terrain. So farmers will be able to lease these machines for a designated period from RADA at a reduced rate. We're also going to be introducing drones for spraying, and we're going to be partnering with private operators of drones to provide that service at a subsidy for our farmers. We are also, Madam Speaker, moving to restructure RADA. But I could not give this presentation without speaking about what we're doing for our youth, women, and persons with disability. Madam Speaker, the engagement of women and youth in agriculture is tantamount to its success or failure. This year, we will continue our focus on creating greater opportunities for our youth to get involved in agricultural pursuits and to provide tangible support to motivate their achievements. To this end, members, we're embarking on a comprehensive agricultural development program for youth, women, and persons with disabilities called Project Feed, which is our drive to empower our women and youth and our persons with disabilities so that we can feed our nation and build our economy. Members, under Project Feed, Appreciating the challenge with access to land, we are reserving 25% of all new agri-park lands to be assigned to women, youth, and persons with disability. Members, under Project Feed, we will be providing $390 million. That is $390 million for youth farmers. We are going to be setting up a special portal on the RADA where the youth can apply directly for their benefit, or they can go through their elected representative subject to verification. Under Project Feed, we're partnering with the Heart Trust NTA to provide youth and women who graduate and are certified in greenhouse production with a greenhouse or a shade house free of cost. We're also going to provide them with input support for their first crop. And Madam Speaker, if they don't have the land, we will try to find the land for them in one of our agri-parks. Under Project Feed, Madam Speaker, we're introducing an agricultural scholarship program to provide support for our young people, especially those who have excelled in agriculture and related fields in high school. We need geneticists, we need agricultural engineers, we need precision agricultural specialists, we need soil scientists, and as such, we're going to be working with the private sector to make $100 million available for agricultural scholarships for those who want to pursue careers in agriculture. This will be managed through the 4-H Club. Under Project Feed, Madam Speaker, we're going to partner with the Heart Trust, and we're going to provide island-wide tractor operations and maintenance training to any youth who wants to do it free of cost. We are looking to have our new generation of tractor operators. Under Project Feed, we're starting a new small rooming and training program through the Jamaica 4-H, where youth and women will be trained, and at the end of the training, they will be granted animals to start their agricultural enterprise. One of the components that I'm happiest about on the Project Feed, Madam Speaker, is that we're going to be starting a mentorship program. A lot of youth get involved with agriculture, but they need guidance. And as such, we're going to be partnering our youth farmers with mentors, old farmers, so that they get an in-depth understanding of agriculture, business, leadership, and this will be done through the 4-H Club. Under Project Feed, we'll be partnering with the Jamaican Network of Rural Women to develop cottage industries around goat milk, cheese, yogurt, soap, jams, jellies, pickles, and syrups. Madam Speaker, it is youth who will shape the future of agriculture. And as my friend Angus reminded me this morning, no farmer, no future. This government is ensuring that our youth, our women, our persons with disabilities are truly able to harvest hope, mine possibilities, and create a better future. Madam Speaker, we're introducing through the 4-H Club an Adopt a School Garden program. School gardens are so critical for agricultural enterprise. And as such, we'll put out more information about this, but I want to say to the private sector, work with us around our Adopt a School Garden program. Let me turn to our fisheries sector, Madam Speaker. And I won't speak about the increases, but just to tell you, we're seeing increases in our fisheries sector. But importantly, last year, Madam Speaker, our conch became the first queen for conch fishery in the world to be certified as sustainable under the Marine Stewardship Council. Madam Speaker, what this means is that our conch is considered best in the world. And you know, we have to celebrate this, Madam Speaker, because 3 years ago, about 5 years ago, we shut down our conch industry. And then 3 years ago, when I was last Minister of Agriculture, we reopened our conch industry. And we said we would do it differently. We would do it sustainably so that it would never be shut down again. Madam Speaker, we can now say that we are the most sustainable conch industry in the entire world. Madam Speaker, as I watch the time, I'm going to go to just the new initiatives. We are moving to revitalize the export of ornamental fish. We're starting an ornamental fish farming project, Madam Speaker. The ornamental fish industry worldwide is about $5.8 billion. And as such, our ornamental fish farming project will provide support to groups of ornamental fish farmers in terms of capacity building, rehabilitation of infrastructure, retooling and training in marketing, business administration, and technical capacity development. Under the project, Madam Speaker, we're going to be building an export clearinghouse facility at the Aquaculture Division in Twickenham Park that will facilitate the exportation of ornamental fish that is produced by ornamental fish farmers. As I said earlier, Madam Speaker, we also will be distributing some ornamental fish to women, youth, at-risk youth, and inner-city communities. This program is $16 million as we seek to harvest hope. Madam Speaker, the government of Japan has worked with us, and they will be providing for the fisheries sector this year a research vessel valued at Jamaican $1 billion. This will allow us to conduct abundance surveys and distribution surveys and really understand our marine environment and the impact of climate change. This is critical, Madam Speaker, and I really want to thank the government of Japan and the people of Japan for their support in that regard. Madam Speaker, our strategic flagship conservation program is the development and management of our fish sanctuaries across Jamaica. Since 2010, supported by a cabinet decision, we've established a network of 18 fish sanctuaries. Madam Speaker, what we've recognized is that our fish sanctuaries work, and they're run by an amazing NGO network that have truly committed themselves to rescuing our marine ecosystem. Since inception, Madam Speaker, there was no budgetary allocation for our fish sanctuaries. However, Madam Speaker, we lobbied the Ministry of Finance and the Minister of Finance, and I'm pleased to announce that for the first time in our history, a budgetary allocation of $60 million have been provided for our fish sanctuary network. This is a massive step in the right direction, Madam Speaker, and I will be speaking with Minister Samudo under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Climate Change to see if we can get some additional funds to help all our fish sanctuaries. Madam Speaker, the fish sanctuaries work. We've seen a doubling of biomass within the fish space since the introduction of our fish sanctuaries. And that is why I'm pleased to announce today that we are forming 2 new fish sanctuaries in Grange Pen, St. James, and in Lucy, Hanover. In fact, the sanctuaries have already been gazetted, and they encompass a total of about 468 hectares of our sea space, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank the Aracabessa Foundation for helping us making this a reality. Madam Speaker, we are continuing our fisheries incentive program. And this year we have allocated $42 million for our fisheries production incentive program. We'll be doing business development grants for youth and women. We'll be doing safety gear for fishers. We'll be doing outboard motor support for members. This year, we'll be introducing a new initiative where at least 20 youth who have participated in National Fisheries Authority training programs will be granted a boat and an engine free of cost. We are moving to create the next generation of fishers. We're also working with the private sector on a fisheries loan program, and we're also working on a beach rehabilitation program, Madam Speaker, which we will earmark $20 million for that. Madam Speaker, let me close with the mining sector. I won't say much about Alpat. We've said a lot, suffice to say, Minister Witter and I were there last week touring. Madam Speaker, we have had many meetings with our partners, Concord, who are the operators of Discovery Bauxite. They have had a challenge in 2023, but they have assured us that they are committed with treaty with the outstanding matters over the next 6 months, and we will continue to monitor the situation. Madam Speaker, we continue to pay keen attention to land rehabilitation and our bauxite community development program and our bauxite land titling program, Madam Speaker. But there are 3 new initiatives that I want to bring to this parliament. Madam Speaker, this year we will be embarking on what we call Operation Pipe Water, providing potable and irrigation water for productivity and empowerment in bauxite mining communities. Madam Speaker, a number of our bauxite communities, unfortunately, still don't have access to water. But a number of our bauxite companies dug wells. We're going to fix that, Madam Speaker. We're going to partner with the JBI and the JBM, the NIC and RADA, and the NWC, and we're going to rehabilitate, resuscitate those wells. We're going to run irrigation systems in those communities. We're seeking, Madam Speaker, to impact the lives of 125,000 residents, 800 businesses, 3,000 hectares of land over the next 10 years. This is how we mine possibilities. Madam Speaker, we're going to be spending $100 million on greenhouse expansion. We're introducing a new Manchester citrus revitalization project. I don't have to tell you how hard it is to get a lime or an orange there. So we're going to be spending over $7 million, partnering with the Jamaica Citrus Growers Association to start a project to replant citrus in Manchester. Another new program, Madam Speaker. A lot of bauxite land stands idle, not doing anything, and the farmers want them. We are starting a bauxite land lease program this year to give land to farmers on concessionary terms so that they can maximize their output. Madam Speaker, I won't go into limestone. I won't go into, but there, let me close with these 2. Madam Speaker, agriculture still requires significant investments, and I'm back to agriculture for a little bit. We have to ensure that we can get the capital to the agricultural entrepreneurs. And the reality is that our financial sector is failing us. Our farmers are still unable to access capital at competitive rates to drive their agricultural enterprise. This is why, Madam Speaker, we want to work with the Ministry of Finance to establish an agricultural development fund to see how we can use that to drive investment in agriculture. If our farmers get the capital, they will do the work. Madam Speaker, a lot was said about the GCT on imported raw foods, but the Ministry of Finance has treated with that, and he has spoken about us bringing our policies in line with the WTOs and the fact that we have put in place a committee that will meet, and clearly we will put some of our issues on the table as we seek to advocate other areas that we think removal of GCT can help. But Madam Speaker, what we have to do is to ensure that when we go out to shop, that we're supporting our farmers and our officials. So this year, Madam Speaker, we plan to launch our Say Yes to Fresh campaign, where we're going to again be promoting choosing Jamaican farmers and Jamaican products when you go out to shop. Madam Speaker, as we prepare for Dembi, the JS is an important organization, having been formed over 120 years ago. For the last 3 years, the JS have not been able to host an annual general meeting or to have an election. We have met with the team from the JS, and I have said to them that this year must be the year that they host their annual general meeting, because we need a strong JS. And it would be extremely challenging to continue to support an organization that cannot stage the most basic democratic tradition. Madam Speaker, since the opposition leader left the House without an opposition spokesperson on agriculture, the opposition leader himself was forced, painstakingly so, to dedicate a section of his speech to the sector. Having reviewed his suggestions, it is clear that the leader of the opposition agrees with the direction of the ministry and agrees with the direction of the government. Every suggestion he made is something we're already doing. The opposition leader says increase youth training. Last year, we offered 169,000 training opportunities for our youth. The opposition leader says expand and repair farm roads. Last year, we did 70. The opposition leader said partner with CASE and UWI to boost research. We have provided $60 million to CASE. We're partnering with UWI Sadiqa for a gluten-free flour. We're partnering with NCU for dairy research. The opposition leader said upgrade CASE to a university. I announced that in August 2023. This is not new. This is not new. So what is clear is that the opposition leader agrees on the direction, but there's a clear difference. The things that have been raised have plagued our farmers for decades. However, very little was done to address them. No, action is the hallmark of today. So, Mr. Opposition Leader, you keep talking. We will keep working. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I am old enough to remember the 1990s and the early 2000s and the way things were. It was in 1995 that Jamaica joined the World Trade Organization and entered into the General Agreements on Trade and Tariffs. While other countries in the region, like Barbados, were negotiating to enter safeguard provisions to protect their agricultural sector, it is clear our government at the time was sleeping at the wheel and left our farmers in the cold. We now carry that burden. Madam Speaker, during the 1990s and the early 2000s, Jamaica saw the significant deterioration of our agricultural output. Traditional crops such as banana, sugarcane, citrus, cocoa saw tremendous declines. In fact, despite the best efforts of the dynamic and passionate Minister Roger Clark, who genuinely loved and respected the small farmer, the government of the day, the party that was in power, did not provide the needed resources to move agriculture forward. They talk a good talk. They criticize every move that is made. But when they get the opportunity to do something about it, they don't have the actions to back it up. Madam Speaker, a number of us in this house, we remember that period. It felt like hope was being removed from our island home. Many of us felt like life here would make no sense. A number of us got involved in politics to help and change that, to restore hope. What the farmers are getting now, Madam Speaker, is action, not talk, not politicking, action to restore hope so that we can harvest hope and mine possibilities. Hope that comes from storage facilities that are being built. Hope that comes from pipes that are being laid for irrigation. Hope that comes from the D-Link program. Hope that comes from Project Feed with 390 million being provided to youth, women, and persons with disability. Hope that comes from the construction of a new fish hatchery. Hope that comes from a boat and engine program for youth. Hope that comes from our pipe water program in Buckside community. Hope that comes from the Buckside land lease program. Hope that comes from knowing we have a visionary leader in Andrew Michael Holness, who in thick and thin, he will be here with us in Jamaica. No parachute, not going anywhere. We will do everything, Madam Speaker and members, to remain on this trajectory. We have come too far, We are not turning back. We are moving forward ever. Backward never. We are harvesting hope. We are mining possibilities. We are creating a better future for all. Well done, boy. Well done.
Well done, well done.